Right, I'm not sure whether I've covered this in another subject, but I keep thinking about things. Education, probably want to know about this. At the moment, what happens is lots of different children of all different abilities get started in one class at primary school or whatever, and I think I'm probably repeating myself here, but there's a few other things that towards the end of education that come up. So at the moment we go in there, we learn reading, writing and basic maths and all that, and learn stories and a bit of history and things like that, but we seem to be feeding our children things that are hobby items, not used in real life. Okay, I'm a historian, I like history, but you know, why learn history at school when you can have, mind you, I suppose here we haven't got centres of excellence. Most of those have got a centre of excellence for every single battle. You know, you can go there and learn about a particular battle. If you find out your ancestors were in one, you can take a weekend or a week even and go to the centre of excellence for that particular battle, which will probably be underground, right by where the battle was. So there's a lot of things like geography. You know, there's a lot of things you just don't need to know, except if you become, and you know, it doesn't sink in. If you're not interested, it doesn't sink in. Some people are interested, so they should learn. So what's happening is you get not very bright person at this end and a really bright person at that end, and they all have to learn at the same time, moving forward in a line. Sometimes the non-bright one holds up all the others. The front really bright one wants to go on. So they're all different speeds. So on all these planets, a lot of them started very, very early on with schools and bringing the kids in, which was a brilliant thing to sort of get you on the bottom rung of the education ladder. But 100 years, 200 years later, we're still there. I think the school down the bottom here, which has just closed a few years ago, that my kids went to, basically, I'm talking as if I was sitting in Wales, mind. So, but basically they, that shut, but it'd been open for 140 odd years, and it was created by the people who started the schools to educate the people free. So that was a good thing. But now money seems to be creeping in everywhere. We seem to have spent an awful lot on our kids' meals. This parent mail thing, we seem to be constantly feeding it money. So gradually, and of course there's when you go for a degree course, you have to take out a loan, and you're paying that back for God knows how long. So anyway, now what should happen is what's happening on all these other places. As soon as the internet arrived, maybe 50 odd years after the internet, which we haven't got to yet, and everyone was linked, it all went online. And okay, kids these days, they want to go online, they want to talk to their friends, they want to play games. Now that all becomes the incentive in an online education system. And what happens is, your course for your age group, not necessarily age group here, because if you get going on your courses and like it, and you're bright, you can just carry on way ahead of anybody else. Just keep going at your own speed. In fact, you don't even have to look at anybody else, you just carry on at your own speed. And what happens is, you pass whatever it is for that day, you're tested on it, and sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. And when you've passed that bit of the test and remember everything, which remember, the other problem is remembering stuff. You know, you have to keep it up. So further on down the line, there was other references back to what you've already learnt in the tests. So it's no good testing just for the one day, because after that they'll just forget it. That's if you want to feed their memory with stuff. But that has its own problems too. That causes confusion later on, basically. Although we do remember everything, as I showed you in the memory section, it's arranging it to be able to get to it. But anyway, once you've passed your little test for the day, or whichever section you're doing, you could do 4 sections a day, 8 sections a day, if you're really clever, you know, of education. And then you get either game time, time to talk to your friends, percentage to going to centre of excellence. Even the kids get centres of excellence, obviously. Alton Towers, for instance, that would become a centre of excellence. Wouldn't have to cost you anything. At the moment, if you go there, you pay a fortune to get in, and then tons of other expenses on top of that. Well, because there's no money, that won't be involved. So, yeah, so that's what happens. And so it's learning for an incentive, get the incentive, carry on if you're clever enough. If you didn't pass, you start again from the beginning. A bit like the first part of the driving test, you know, which is all on the computer or online. So now, then you have to sort out what you're going to teach your kids, because whatever they're going to do, or whatever course they want to take to get jobs, which is different, they that can be taught at the beginning or within that course. So if you need maths, a certain type of maths in that course, then learn it then. Don't try and feed it to the kids early on. Okay, basic. But remember, basic maths in this life is sorting out your bills and things like that. But there's no bills. There's no money. There's no money, nothing to do with money at all. That's all gone, basically. Because it just causes divides. And you don't want divides. And it keeps the rich rich and the poor poor, basically. Because there's a storable item. If it wasn't a storable item, you have to do something in order to go to your centre of excellence. So, that's pretty much it. And then, when you've done your basic schooling or whatever, you go on to your job section. Remember, this is all online. And in order to do the practical part of your course, you go to the Centre of Excellence for that subject, i.e. Centre of Excellence for Plumbing. A bit like the Open University. You can do a degree on the Open University at your own speed, and you go actually to the Open University just down the road here to basically do your practical bits. So yeah, so that's that really. There's not an awful lot to say on that. Obviously schools, lumping everybody into a school, say for instance, you know, you have to get up early, your kid has to get up early. Sometimes they walk to school, which is dangerous. Sometimes they go on a bus or in a car to school, which is dangerous. All weathers, filling up the roads, using the fuel, filling the air with pollutants. Then they get to school, then they've got to deal with people they don't like, that they have to spend 10 or 15 years with. Okay, the ones they do like, the friends, and then there's all that rubbish about all being the same and all having to have the same thing and the same hobby, and which comes from our instinct. Basically, when you're in a tribal situation, you have to sort of fit in with everybody else in order to be fed. And that's the same thing. You have to do something, you have to be somebody, you know, you have to, I don't know, in order to fit in. But when you're sitting at home, you become your own person. You don't get influenced by bad or good outside, you know. And the people where I am in Wales who have homeschooled their kids, the kids are incredibly intelligent and they're their own people. They do their own things. They're crafty, you know, everything. And remember, it's said that a kid only concentrates for about 10 minutes a day. So why go to school for 8 hours? You know, it beats me. Teachers, on the other hand, will still be employed because they stay at home with a set of headphones on and a microphone. They get to go to their centre of excellence for just being on time on that system. And if somebody gets stuck in their course, they've got somebody they can email or ring or talk to, being a teacher in that subject. So, you know, teachers obviously have still got a job or a task in life, you know, where they can stay at home, look after the babies or whatever, or that's another problem we have. In this day and age, the government have got us so... God, it was terrible. I hope it's not a virus. They've got this... I forget what I was going to say now. Yeah, where they need more and more money, so they like it when two lots of people, the male and the female in the family, both have to work. Of course, then the kids suffer. You know, you've heard about all these kids who never really saw their mums and dads. So there's that problem too, unfortunately. You know, in this system, okay, the woman has to have the baby, but they decide then who's the one who's going to work, or they can take it in turns. Because you've passed a test in something, the jobs come up on your mobile. And say you're a plumber, you've been on a plumbing course, for instance, at the end of your course, you get the top-notch transport and the top-notch tools. There's no having to collect your tools over a great period of time, and there's no competition among plumbers. So any ideas they have, or tricks or tips, or to make something last longer, they feed it to everybody through the system. You know, you can upgrade your course and of course upgrade the learning to be that plumber. But you think, why would you ever want to be a plumber? Well, in your area, for instance, if you want to stay in your area, there'll be, on the mobile, there'll be a set of jobs come up where there's shortages of people. So you think, oh right, I'll do that. Remember, you don't have to stay a plumber forever, because you just pass a course in something else and do something else. So that's the top level of education. So yeah, it's very nice for, you know, these days, if you think about it, writing involves writing on paper. Now, we're not going to have paper for much longer. Basically because we've cut down virtually everything. You know, it might be the odd bit of recyclable paper, but it's all disappearing, will disappear fast. So you know, typing is the thing. That's what you should be teaching children, typing, not writing. Right, yes, for cards and things or whatever, but even cards will go online eventually. There should be no paper in your house at all, really. We must have about 5 tons of it here. So, you know, every single bill and everything from the 70s onwards. But, yeah, education. There you go. And this chap up here, Benjamin Franklin, said, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember." Not will remember, may remember. Involve me and I learn. So when you go to your centre of excellence, you get involved in the actual nitty-gritty of plumbing or fixing televisions or whatever. You see what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much education. And I mean, these days you see a school system and you go in and there's a massive office, there's loads of people working, telephones, all these other things, you know, there's tons of stuff going on. It's a huge involvement, and yet the kids only, you know, they're all going forwards in a line and not finding their own way. It's just and then they have to get up and go to school. You know, if they were at home, you just, you know, the computer just will not allow them to go on until they've passed the course for that day, the bit of the whatever they have to learn, and they get their toy or their incentive sent to them, and they can go on for the next one. So if they're doing a collection of something, it's an incentive to get going. So all gaming, talking to your friends, toys, sweets, all that, if there is still sweets, you know, that lot is all incentive. So they can win that by learning stuff. But I didn't really, I know what the education system is on most other planets, and that's basically all taught at home via a big screen. And then, like I say, any practicals, they go away. Because remember, your buggy from their abodes doing 2,000 miles an hour, you know, you won't even have time to read a newspaper. You'll be there, you know. So going to Centre of Excellence is not a problem. If you get stuck, talk to your teacher on the headphones, and that's it. Now you might think, oh my God, I don't want my kids at home all day, you know. But my kids, one's on the telephone, one's on the computer as soon as they get home, and that's the end of it. You know, I haven't had any trouble with them at all. It's amazing. You know, I haven't had to buy anything. The daughter doesn't really want to go clothes shopping or anything. All she wants to do is talk to her friends on the telephone. So that's the sign of the times here. Now, you know, you can read into that whatever you like. But so basically, that's education for you. And like I said, the bit I saw on the screen in the probe was basically the offspring at home, learning at home, and getting an incentive when they've learned. But remember, school is just packing your memory full of stuff you don't really want to know. You know, a lot of who you know, I could never remember anything. If you did remember everything, you wouldn't have to revise. You know, revision. You know, you just got to go over it and over it and over it again, pass the exam, and then that's it. You don't have to remember it after that. You know, it's a bit. But you know, on the other hand, I'm quite sort of happy with what my kids have come back and sort of the knowledge they've got. You know, that I certainly didn't tell them. So that's one good thing about school here. But like I say, they all get held up, and they can only go at the speed of the course. So, and, you know, some people take their kids out of normal school and put them in a like an advanced school, but that's only for the rich again. So, you know, it's all a bit. You know, the system's 150 years old now. It should really be changed. But, like I say, people don't want my kids at home. But remember, in their system, you get your free food, your free accommodation, your free entertainment, everything anyway. So one person can always, you can both stay at home. But if you need to, because, you know, their systems are heading for 100% unemployment. There's no such thing as employment. People do things to help their planet. They do the best job because they don't want to go back and fix it again. So the best materials, the best job is done, even if they have to do something over the top to make sure that job stays there. You know, all the water's pure. Some planets have got two water systems, one with like rough type water like we've got, and another with pure water just for consumption. Because obviously anything organic on a planet needs water, basically. So, you know, we've got chlorine in our water, we've got fluoride. Well, I could carry on about that for ages too, you know. Fluoride was used by the Germans to subdue whole populations. Are we? You know, that's what they should be teaching at school. All the rubbish. And the other thing is, on this education system, they teach respect for others first. So, for instance, if you're at home, you might be saying, "Oh no, I can't have Mike. He needs to interact with other people. He needs to get strong. He needs to be able to it's funny, these people who, oh, I like my kid because he stands up for himself. But you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to do it. They should go there. They should be quiet. They should learn as quick as they can. That's what they're there for. Now, you might say interaction. Now, what happens on their system is they make friends in the friends sort of system to do with the education. The two mums or the two dads or the two parents or whatever will get together and say, you know, they're quite friendly, let them meet. Now, there's an old saying, familiarity breeds contempt. You might get that from, well, it happens in our schools because you're forced to learn with all the people all coming up with your line with you through the education system. You're with them for 10, 15 years. The same people. You know, so you're going to get fed up with them. So what they do, they let them get together and play and that with their toys, and they could even pitch them against each other to go faster in the courses, you know. Now, if they look as if they're going to not getting on very well, you just stop them seeing each other and go on to another one. More friends. And remember, we're talking about all over the world. You can have a friend right on the other side of the planet, if you like. You know, you can talk to them on the screen. But as soon as there starts to get animosity, onto a new one. And then, if it looks like they still want to be friends and, you know, and are okay with each other, then back to the other one. But as soon as that animosity or anything, swap them. That way, you know, you won't get confrontation and things like that. Because what happens in the small towns in Wales is that everyone knows everybody, and people who don't like each other still have to live with each other, with each other even when they left school. You know, it's still have to see them round the town and that's when all the fights, and you know, get drunk in the pub, and then that's when the fights start. You know, all that is but on their system, talking about alcohol, if there is anything intoxicating on a planet, they do a centre of excellence for it. Now, here, you might have a centre of excellence for a certain disco, like Hippodrome in London. You go to that centre of excellence, you stay in their hotel, 24-hour party, drink as well, not as much as you like, but whatever. Now, you don't go back out onto the street. You go straight to the hotel, which is like a corridor, maybe. You know, so therefore people don't spill out into the street and start fighting. If somebody does start fighting, you put them in a quarantine in the centre. So you know, let them calm down a bit. But you know, our primeval instincts come out with alcohol. We're subdued like mad by government and by everything. You know, I mean, you've seen it. In Syria, for instance, where they suddenly went lawless, people would shoot somebody for a loaf of bread. You know, it's, ages. What time we got? This is I'm rambling a bit today because I'm sort of getting to the end of all the things I've got to say on these subjects. I've got to 27. It was going to be 25, but I keep thinking of things. And the next one coming up is just a little sideline on containers. What they do for containers. Some of them, they ran out of resources to make plastic, for instance. So the reusable containers is I'm going to do a little one on that and call that number 28. Project X people, look out for the codes in the videos, and they'll add up to something. Okay, thanks a lot.